Welcome to the Teen Trails podcast from the Spine Challenger North.
And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from
Forest View.
Forest View.
5.5. And your name?
Jason Stobbs.
And your race number?
592.
Well done.
We've got a one-way ticket to Planet Sensational.
I haven't listened to last week's, but someone messaged me saying, I enjoyed your exit singing or something, where I thought we'd finished recording. And what am I doing? I haven't even listened to...
It's when you serenaded me at the end.
Did I? I better be good. Maybe I should listen to it.
Incredible.
Thunder! Is there a good a song as AC/DC? Thunder. That introduction, I'd do anything. You play me that introduction?
But any occasion. How's your curtains, Eddie, this week, actually? Are you going to get blinded?
It's a dark grey day here in Scotland. We're fine. There's no blinding today. I'm actually under my rug today with a pot of tea by my side.
Very cosy. How's your lips? We need to do our vocal.
Can we start the podcast?
Hello and welcome to episode 104 of the Tea and Trails podcast. We are so fortunate to have a live recording from the spine race, but I've got to say, a poor fella getting hassled for her intro. But well done, Jason. Incredible jogging, and thanks for sending it in, Sharon. Sharon, my goodness me, if you're at a checkpoint and Sharon Dyson is there, elite.
I tell you what, though, full of love. You go in, she's full of love you. She is ruthless, though. Get in. Right, you got your 30 minutes, because she's always at Burness, isn't she? 30 minutes. Yeah. She's sitting there, and everybody, absolutely the weakest, worst, 99.9% of people, she sends them back out. You would have to be a strong person. I think I remember begging her. I'd give her anything. But maybe she needs to play AC/DC Thunder, the intro to people, when it's like 28 minutes and they've got to go. And she's like, here we go, every time.
I remember saying to me at Boot, I think it's time to go now, Gary.
I think it's time to go. She lightly prodded you at Burness. She's got the cattle prodder. Get out. She sent me a lovely video message of, again, she was hassling James going, you missing Eddie? You missing Eddie? He was like, nope, much nicer this year. But that was so lovely to see him there having his little pasta. So proof of life.
Yeah.
From Sharon. And thanks so much for the intros. Keep them coming to hello@teaandtrails.com. That email inbox, Gary, it's a hive of eclectic message. It's bulging. And Eddie had to be in charge of Tea and Trails Towers for a few days. How did I do? Was it?
Oh, sensational. Thank you very much for holding the reins, Eddie. Appreciate it.
No, I didn't. I was like, what? Where do I put this email? Where do I find this email? Shall I reply to this email? And it's a lovely email inbox because there's lovely stuff coming in, like, opportunities or like messages, and it's great. But it's like we could employ a PA.
Easy.
Or I don't think the patrons would be very impressed if we start. Talking of patrons, we love you. Oh my goodness, we love you. We're so excited we had a big meeting this week about our Tea and Trails Ultra, and wow, our patrons have come out strong. Libby was laughing. Libby, who is our coordinator with Rear Events. So I was like, so how exactly? I don't know. Of course, I don't know how you enter, like the process of the background that goes on in race entries and anything. Anyway, so we've had a lot of people
express an interest.
Gary, I express an interest in you. Express an interest for our race, which pretty much matches our Patreon number. We're so grateful to all of you. We'll go on a little bit more about the race, but anyway, we just wanted to say thank you to you guys. You guys are amazing. You keep Gary in his red shorts nice and snug. They must be pretty snug at them. They haven't been out for a while, unless you wear them on your treadmill sessions. Me whining about my sore quads and all this delicious content flowing. I'm so sorry about my singing. If you stayed on to the end of the podcast, I often do get serenade Gary with musical numbers as we're preparing. I think he turns his earphones off. But he kept it.
I like my week, Eddie.
Well, it's actually, if we're going to do a statistical study, I think Lucy Gossard, she actually found that listening to musicals helped her win the spine. So you may all mock me and hate on me, but it is actually true. Anyway, many thanks to all our patrons and our partners too. You can go over to Patreon and join up, and then you'll be provided with discount code for countless running goodies. You can join any Patreon tier, pay annually, and you'll receive 10% off your subscription, and we'll also pop a snood in the post for you. You can also go over to Something Crazy if you'd like to buy some Tea and Trails merch. Don't forget, if you want a snood or a bobble hat, then you need to make sure your address is onto Patreon. No address, no goodies. And also, if you think, what's happened? Sometimes the system is not as, it's a little bit chunky, clunky. So just drop into our email box. As I just said, we love that email box. We love receiving messages from you guys.
Thanks to X Miles, Precision Fuel and Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Light UK, Beta Run and Protein Rebel sponsoring this week's show. We use their products week after week to help us train, hydrate and recover. And if you need a headphone upgrade, then use the code T10 for £10 off over at uk.shocks.com.
Big shout out to X Miles for supporting us for 2025. Pop over to X Miles for all your nutrition and kits needs. Heaps of brands to choose from. This week, you're going to hear Tales from the Trails from Darla Crispin. More to come from her later in the podcast. But we were having, I coach her, and we were having our catch up planning call this week. And one of the things she's going to start to use is a few gels. She's a cheese and pickle sandwich fan, Gary. And so we went through the X Miles, popping in various gels, which I love. So you can be like a few gels there, a few gels there. I was like, oh no, not those ones. Oh yes, those ones. Everybody loves different, you know, when you go running with your mates and someone can down some sort of gel that you go, oh my God. And then you can down on something that they can't. So it's so individual, but this gives you the opportunity to like.
What I like about X Miles' nutrition planner is that you can do your nutrition race by race. So if you have two Dale Vellon, Lakeland 100, 13 Valleys, Northern Traverse, then it's not just this kind of one-off list that you make. You can select all those different races, save them, so when you go back later on, you can see the races that you've got, or the race, or the other workouts that you're going to do. It's all easy just to keep an eye on what's occurring.
Don't forget, patrons receive 10% over at www.xmiles.co.uk. Links to all our sponsors, patrons, and the Tea and Trails Ultra can be found in the show notes and over at www.teaandtrails.com. I just did the whole opening gambit. Well, you just sat there. That sums up our week, doesn't it? Eh?
You've obviously just put your name ahead of all of these. He won't notice.
I'm so sorry. Let's turn the tables. How you doing, me old mucker? We've not, like, that's the longest. I reckon, like, maybe we went, like, 6 days without facial contact.
I don't like it. Sometimes.
I did. When you came on, I thought you'd really aged. I was like, it's only been...
Oh, you could have been nice to me.
Absolutely not. Let's not start down that route.
How has my week been? Well, it was a Baltic start to the week. Well, see, we are normally we record the podcast on a Monday, Tuesday. We're recording this on a Friday, so apologies. Yeah, it's going to be out late. Obviously, you'll realise this when you are listening to it. So I'm going back nearly 2 weeks.
Oh my God. Turn those cocks.
But it was Baltic beginning of the week, so I was super pleased that I had a treadmill session. I've mentioned a few times where I'm struggling with race anxiety, so I thought I'd use a session to build a bit of mental strength. So the session was 20 to 25 minutes on the treadmill. Ooh, I forget the percentage. And it was that zone 4, and I think last time I did it, I was begging for 20 minutes to come. Basically, I did the shortest amount of time with the least amount of effort I could do. And I was begging. But I thought, if I'm going to get tougher, if I'm going to tip up on a cross-country course, then I need to be reaching for that 25 minutes in these workouts and occupy that, say, mid-zone 4. So I stayed within race zone 4. I didn't want to change it to a different workout. I didn't want to go into zone 5. That last 2 minutes, I went to the upper echelons.
Gary, this is very good because I set lots of my clients 20, 25 minutes worth of running. And then I'm like, if you've done it right, the last few minutes, instead of hanging by your teeth, you're able to finish it, conquering it. Be the gladiator rather than the guy that gets themselves chopped in half off the chariot. Ooh, what a way to go. Good job.
A different mindset. And like I say, I've struggled. I've not done an XC fixture race since Dragon's Back race. And I've just got a little bit of fear of being on that start line, pushing myself hard for 40 odd minutes.
A mum at school was like, so she runs cross country. She's like, so I just, 8K is my limit. And I was like, I don't think I could stand on a cross country start line. I'd be the anxiety, like, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be going like this, patting down my boobs, going, where's my pants? I don't seem to have a tracker on my shoulder.
So hopefully I will be making a slow pack debut. But yeah, just like I say, it's another brick in the wall of confidence after that session. I enjoyed it. Gym on Wednesday, and again, a bit more purpose, less selfies, Instagram stories, increased.
You don't.
And I heard something interesting. This was on Trail Runner Nation it was from an author called Alex Hutchison. He had the book called Endure. I'm sure you've heard of that book. He is, I rate Alex Hutchison. Anyway, he said, as long as you lift to failure, it doesn't really matter if you lift heavy or medium or light.
That's about muscle recruitment. That's you're working completely. If you do 40 squats with a light weight, that's completely different. Me and Alex to doing, over your body weight for 6.
The only downside for me is my gym time would quadruple if I lifted to failure.
But I know we need to put out, and I said I'd do it this week, but I'm really sorry we're not going to have time, but we need to put out, people are confused with how they strength train and running, and it is not complicated. There's some simple formulas, and I promise we will do it next week. We're not going to have time to do it this week because this week's been mad, but okay. I'm a big believer, Gary. Anyway, whatever, everybody, there's been rights and wrongs and it changes. And it's, we used to do standing stretches before hockey matches and stuff like that. You never see that now. What you will do, what works for you, what means that you can stack your bricks, be consistent. Yeah. Everybody's different. Everybody's from a different background. I've got a number of outdoor laborers. They don't need to do much strength work at all. If I sent them in the gym to do 3 lots of 40 loads of light squats, they'd be like, what is the point of this? I've just lifted 10 tons of... Everybody's different. Everybody reacts to strength differently. Everybody's muscle, everybody is, the way they're built is different. So there's no right or wrong. Just get in the gym. It's never time wasted. Brutal abs
too. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to fat back, and I don't want to neglect that torso. So yeah, brutal abs too. And that was it. I only, the gold star for me would be the brutal abs and 2 strength sessions, but the week just vanished after that. Waved Esme off. That was super emotional. You've got all this to come. Hopefully they're a bit more sensitive than Esme is.
Nope, they will not be. Goodbye.
Durham train station platform. It was like literally. 180. We did get a cuddle. She didn't. She was a bit stingy with the cuddles, but then it was a 180 on the train. She looked up once, gave me a wave, and that was it. And I was a snivelling mess.
But your work there is done, Gary, because that's how you'd want them. You don't want her hanging off you. No. It's the tables have turned though, haven't it? Because do you remember when they're like 2 or 3? The switch turns, and then from about 13, 14 onwards, literally. You're really only there to provide food and a taxi service, but you're there. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's why they can do that, because emotionally, physically, they know that you're there. I heard something, it made me feel really sad, but it was the lovely thing was like, I know I can pick up the phone and ring the person, and so they know you're there, so they can go. You've provided that support. So I know it's brutal though.
My sister made a good observation that, so Esme comes home for Christmas and spends a lot of time catching up with her friends. So although she's home, she probably spent about 70, 80% of the time not at home. So me and Lisa are like, hang on a minute, this is not right. But Dawn reminded us that when we would come home from uni, that's exactly what we did too. Social trails on Saturday and Sunday with a cafe stop. Incredible. Fondant fancy and a cup of...
Say that again.
Fondant fancy. Miles with friends. Yeah, I really needed it and I really enjoyed it too. So from a workout point of view, 1 session, couple of long runs, 60 odd miles for the week, 8,500 feet.
Oh, nice.
And I found a pair of merino wool underwear, which was a Christmas present, but I'd never used them. Oh my goodness me, Eddie. Merino wool underwear. Incredible.
Was it? Interesting.
A baby dragon was a little merino
I thought you were
nest.
about to ask me about my underwear then. I thought, this has gone. I thought you were about to go, so Eddie, talk me through your sports bra situation.
So comfortable. I've got 2 pairs of underwear. We're not sponsored by underwear. This is not an endorsement at all.
Well, it is an endorsement, and we only work with sponsors that we actually use. Most of my base layers are merino wool, because when we were in France, you wouldn't survive if you didn't have. But I also have the good merino wool and the bad merino wool that
I didn't even know this was the thing. Good and bad, Marino.
So some are like a little bit, yeah. But I've got two that if that's clean I put that on, I'm like, it's going to be a good warm day. So maybe I need to look into this.
They're incredible. They weren't
Situation.
cheap. Well, I don't know what's cheap and what's not cheap. If it's made ethically, then you got to pay the bucks.
But also if it's going to last, like Merino, it's going to last you forever. Though whether your pants do last you forever, I don't know. Certainly the kids' pants, my goodness me, they have some wear and tear.
And I'm still fortunate enough to be, when I did Dragon's Back Race, I joined a WhatsApp group with our tent members, and Robin Cassidy, who crushed the Spine Race recently, she's still in that group, and she reached out for song advice. Maybe she should have wished you were in that group, because I didn't send her Disney classics. And my song, it was The Ecstasy of Gold from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
Oh.
Incredible. Now, because that was front and center of my thoughts, when I was in the gym, I played that song just to see if it would inspire me in the moment.
Okay, yes, I love that.
And it literally was on repeat for
The whole session.
30 minutes after I pressed play. Absolutely incredible.
Is it the one that goes da-da-da-da-da-da?
That is in it, but it's
That and Thunderstruck, AC/DC. Just on a double song superset.
I was pumped. I was absolutely pumped. I loved it. Bad Sisters, Apple TV. Have you seen this?
I literally haven't had time to watch anything apart from The Traitors with Evie.
It's basically 4 sisters based in Ireland. It was a funny, dark police crime drama. Season 2 is a bit more serious, but still a bit of dark comedy in there. I'm not going to spoil it for people. They did it really, really well. George and I, we are demolishing it. That's our little go-to. Loved it. Yeah, week 2 of 2025 done. I'm laser focused.
Oh, you love it. Chiseled.
Shots fired. How about you?
Those shots, baby cakes. Well, I just feel a bit like I am running. It's hard when it's your job too, especially like big weeks like the Spine Week. You literally live, breathe, everybody else's runs, your own runs. You're talking about running, everyone's talking about their running. I'm in my running kit still from this morning. I'm just staying in it because I'll just run again later. I'm just trying to and I feel like I'm running all the time, but then I look at my weekly deets and I'm like, when I stood outside school to collect the kids yesterday, and I'd done so I'll talk about this a little bit more, a quick half hour. I'd already run in the morning, obviously had a shower, and then I stood there, put my puffer coat on over the top, and I was like, I can smell myself. Please don't come out, teacher, please don't come out. Please just
I like my own smell. Sometimes I smell my hands. Incredible.
That is just... You are such a boy. I can just imagine what you do with your hands, and then you smell them. I do not like my own smell, and it's a pity because I'm a very smelly person. Anyway, I'm back on it, back on my sessions. I cannot believe the speed in which I've the Winter Downs 200. Like the week after, I thought that I'm pretty much, that's me done forever. I will never ever be able to put trainers on again. I'm done. I'm a shadow of my former self. Probably Christmas helped with the additional calorie boost, and like just being loads of sleep, being out of routine, being like just relaxing. And then kids have gone back to school, and I'm back, and I'm like, so it's only a month and I'm back training and I feel good. I feel like I'm recovering. I'm able to build. I'm able to hold a reasonable level of volume. I'm back in the strength. The strength is still like low, but it's coming back up. So it's low to what it was before, but every day I'm shuffling, every day I'm picking up the bar. It's a little
What
bit...
about rest and heart rate?
Well, it's 40, which is on the low side for me, but it's steady. So it's not dropping. It's not like erratic. It's just like, I'd say it's a little bit low, but also mine never goes up until life calms down. So I'm just kind of taking it that it's steady at the moment. So I did some sessions and I put something on Instagram, which was unlike me, but I felt the need to share some of my knowledge. I was probably waiting for a child in the car, wanting some friends. But one thing I've really noticed coming back from these mega long efforts is that as you start feeling ready to train again, I really benefit well from doing short, sharp, hard stuff rather than anything long endurance based. And I think a lot of that is mental, but I also think almost shocks the body into get to work again, and they feel pretty terrible. So my treadmill session was 6 by 90 seconds uphill. uphill, 10%.
Would you just jump off the side?
Well, what I did was I jumped off the side to take the pace down for about 15 seconds and just allow the heart rate to do that dip back down.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it starts coming back down, then I jump back on and I jog and then we pump it up again. And I got braver and braver with the speed. Again, was a good sign to me that like throughout the session, I was like, go faster, AC/DC on as loud as I could. And then I did 6 by 45 seconds and finished, like you were saying, on your moderate, steady, easy run, whatever you were doing. That I finished the 45 like really strong, like power. I was like, yes, so that's good. And I feel so good doing that sort of stuff. If you made me do 8 by 5 minutes, I would just grovel through that and it wouldn't get good stuff out of it. If you're coming back from a big or any sort of race, shorter stuff is a great way to like, and I think a lot of it is about protecting the brain and the brain knowing that you're not going to put it back in that space that you made it go into. It goes into a bit of like self-preservation. So you're like, look, you sweat, you're hot, and then we're stopping and it goes, okay, reset. I'm going to reset. So I've really been enjoying doing stuff like that. I've been working out how I can fit more in. How can I fit more in? Where is the little pockets of my days? Living in my running kit has helped. I've been adding in like little 20 to 30 minute runs if I go to school a little bit earlier and park the car outside school. And then, the mums go early to get the car parking spots. And then I'm like, well, I've literally got like 25 minutes. And this is the hardest thing, especially in the winter, isn't it? Get out and you've got 30 minutes, get that little easy recovery run in, get those strides in, just do it, Eddie. And I've been thinking about my competitor. What would my competitors do? And this is a beyond ideal way to train. And then I think, who wrote the book to say this is exactly how you should train? Like, why do we have to fit these models? Yes.
And especially for what we do, training philosophies for marathons and 10Ks and 5Ks, they go back quite a way. But when you go into the 200 milers especially.
Oh, we do we, Gary? I like that you're starting to come around to my way of thinking. This is a date. We cannot be those podcast hosts that are like people are like, they're so unrelatable, those two in their
elitist.
In their sweaty running kit and their coats. Yeah, I was thinking like, don't not do it because you think, well, this isn't the right way to do it. And I think that's lots of people will think like that. Like I'm a big believer of stacking the bricks, as David Roach always likes to say, if you listen to him or follow any of his content. I'm a big believer that every single little brick counts. And it might be that like this time of my life at the moment when I'm basically a taxi driver and an organisation, a PA for my kids of their sporting act. I've created 3 sporting monsters, which it was always my aim as a mother. But also then what comes with that, as anyone that knows that has kids that are doing sport, you're just juggling everything. Where do you fit in life yourself? And if that's just 20, 30 minutes here, 20, 30 minutes there, yes, wouldn't it be great to have 90 minutes to go for a run midweek? Okay, I can't do that, but I can do 90 minutes total, but it's going to look like this. Will it have a different effect? Maybe a little bit, but it's all about like the bricks, stacking the bricks. And I sometimes think like the juggling of everything, it makes me stronger in that when I get to that start line, I'll be like, I worked really hard for that. So it's been a little bit like that, but I have been able to do a couple of sessions and felt good after them. Did quite a lot of uphill treadmill running as well last week because it was Baltic. The roads were, my slot for running is often like super early before it's even light. So we did quite a lot of uphill, which is good, but also my calves at the end of the week were like, enough. That's almost 8,000 feet of climbing on a treadmill. Let's move on. Been really focusing on recovery, fueling, because again, when you're busy and you're juggling, it's too, and I say that, I lie to you all actually, because I did a long run on Saturday to a kids match. I've done that before. I've got quite a good 18-mile road run. It's got 1,000 feet of climbing in it, which to me, I think that's actually not very, that's like totally runnable. Actually, it's quite a lot of, it's just up and down, basically. I did it 15 minutes faster than the 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks before Winter Downs 200, I did it.
Wow.
And it was really icy.
Were you hanging though at the end, or was it okay?
No. So I rang Bryn and said, are you here yet? And he's like, I'm only just leaving home. I was like, well, I'm almost at the cafe. Because he said, don't push too hard. If you get to like 15 miles, stop.
Yeah.
So unlike him, he must have been really worried about me. And so then there was a mile to go and I thought, I'll just ring him because I am kind of done. Things are beginning to I could stop now and you could just pick me up basically. I was being lazy. He's like, I've only just left home. I'm going to be like 25 minutes. So I thought, I just run on. And I was like, I feel great. The biggest difference though, so I say this and make myself sound amazing, 50 minutes faster, I did not have to carry, I just had a light pack. So that I just felt so happy. I think a lot of it was like a lighter pack, and I just feel so happy I'm not running through the night. All I have to do, I got to the cafe. I was dirty, Gary. So I thought, he's not here. So I ordered a big pot of tea and a muffin. I joke you not, bigger than your head. It was
Chocolate?
Enormous. Blueberry, but it was that kind of like, it wasn't even homemade. It was that real.
Oh, like a Costco.
It was like a Costco, but I think it is a Costco one, but it was sensational. Oh my God, I loved it. But this is where I'm feeling. Then we had to do various matches and sports fixtures, drive around the county, watching the kids, and I didn't have any other food, Gary.
Eddie, my goodness.
Eddie, and at one point, Bryn was like, so we went to an indoor hockey match, another new sport to add to our sporting ventures. Bryn said, I'm going to go to the vending machine for you because you've gone a really nasty colour now and you're going to be an embarrassment. So we went dirty at the vending machine. So live and learn. I think as long as you live and learn, and I was like, must do better. So this week I got my Tupperware and I got those pouches. They're like rice and beans and stuff that you can tear off and heat in the microwave. Heated them before I went, poured them in the Tupperware, put that in a bag, fork ready for straight after my run. I did think, as I was doing it, I said to myself, what is your life? Because this is the saddest thing. You're making a little
I don't think they're too bad. We eat those
it was
quite a lot.
delicious, especially when you're hungry.
I've not checked the label. Maybe it's full of E numbers, but I don't think it's terrible to eat. And they're not expensive. And like you say, a couple of minutes in the microwave.
Again, this is my whole training philosophy of being kind to myself, but also like, if it means I'm going to get some food in and not what I had after that long run on Saturday, which the muffin the size of my head, and then later on, something like a Lucasade, a Twix. Literally, Bryn just chose row G from the vending machine. Came out with his buckets.
I love an original Lucasade. That is a 10 out of 10 drink.
Oh, but there's no point me trying to fit all this training in if I don't back it up with proper fueling. And also I go on and on to all my athletes about proper fueling. I have to be a good role model. So I'm trying, I'm doing good, I'm feeling good. But there's always work to be done. There's always work to improve. But I'm happy that I'm feeling so much better than I was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's hope. There's hope for us all.
When you go for a run and you make phone calls, do you stop your watch?
Well, I just keep running. I do a lot of phone calls on the run, on my easy dog jogs. Yeah. I every day, every morning, because I just do my dog jog first thing, I speak to my best friend, and while she's driving to work, we have like 15, 20 minutes, and she's like, what mile are you at? How are you feeling today? Little chats that I just need to maybe check in with people. I multitask. I love it.
You sound
That's
like
what Killian does. That's what Killian
Michael
does.
Flatley does it too.
Yes, he does all his best work out on his easy efforts, and it keeps it truly easy. Like, because if I'm chatting and with the dogs, there's about a 30-second minute-mile difference. If I haven't got somebody to chat to and slow me down a little bit, I can easily get AC/DC on and start visualization. So I don't stop, and I'm not bothered because if I'm going through I never stop my watch unless maybe if I went for a pee, because that takes me forever.
Fear is you forget to turn it back on again.
Yeah, exactly. I do have the auto pause on actually, but I honestly don't care, Gary. I don't care what it says.
I used to really care about all that.
You did used to, but
Not so
I pulled
much.
you down to the lowest lows.
Thanks, Precision Fuel and Hydration, for supporting Brew with the Coaches. Their website and newsletter are such good source of knowledge, articles to read and YouTube content to binge on too. Check out their fuel planner and why not book a free video chat with one of their awesome sports scientists. If you do one thing after listening to this podcast, I would recommend booking an appointment with one of their sports scientists. I think that is such an incredible service they offer there, and it is not just about flogging stuff. Lots of knowledge shared over at www.precisionhydration.com. Another great newsletter from Precision Fuel and Hydration. And this time they had an athlete reach out with an update, which I thought was fascinating. Hi, Andy. I worked with you several years back on my hypernatremia case after my first full distance triathlon in Maryland in 2014. 10 years after my first disastrous appearance here, I successfully completed the race again. I finished happy, healthy, and had an amazing day this time. I wanted to reach out because you all were so helpful in taking on my case and helping me to better understand my physiology so that I could have this redemption race. Jen was a case study when Precision Fuel and Hydration explored exercise-associated hypernatremia for a report that was published in the British Medical Journal. Heavy flex. Not any old report goes in the British Medical Journal. Yes, I just thought that was sensational that she reached out and just gained that knowledge and had a redemption race. Fantastic. This week's question comes from Reverend Nick Stevenson. He's suffering from cramps. I've been running ultras for the past 4 years and I'm currently training for the winter spine race. Preparation is going well, except I keep getting cramp on harder efforts. In the summer, going for a time in a 15-mile race, I got it stepping over a fallen tree and in trying to run it off, ended up tearing a muscle off. Bloody hell's bells. Last week, I got it during a trail marathon on the start of a steep ascent late in the race. I always carry electrolytes in my bottles and do my best to keep drinking. It's always the same muscle too. My physio says it's the gracilis on my inner thigh. I'm taking magnesium at night and collagen in the morning and doing my best with strength and condition, but I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Hoping your combined wisdom might be able to help. Thanks for the awesome podcast and great advice. Blessings, Reverend Nick Stevens. Well, the wisest one of our coaches is going to get. Did I pronounce that right though? Gracilis. And what is it? My goodness me, Rebecca, I've got no idea about that muscle.
Yeah, no, that is right. And it's a muscle which is on your, as he says, is on your inner thigh. Primarily responsible, or one of its roles is to bring your thighs together. So it's what we call an adductor muscle. So it brings your legs together. And it also has a role in sort of bending and in inward rotation of the knee as well. So it's a long muscle that goes down the inside of your thigh. So essentially, my advice here with all sort of cramp type presentations is looking at the sort of endurance of that muscle group. So if your physio has been able to sort of pin it down to that muscle, in some ways that's good because it gives you a target to work at. And I think general sort of adductor work, looking at lots of strengths to do with that, but also lumbar pelvic control in general. So what happens to your muscles as you go further on into a race or with harder efforts. So looking at all of that lumbar pelvic control, but particularly paying attention to the adductor muscle group, which is sometimes a bit neglected. There's some very specific exercises you would have to do to target that. And I think as long as you've got a specific program which looks at that on top of the general S&C stuff that we do, then I think that you're probably going to be on the right lines. But if it's always isolated to one muscle, then that's just telling me that that muscle group probably doesn't have the capacity and the endurance for what you're asking it to do. But it's good that you've sort of isolated a cause and it gives you a target for rehab, would be my advice. So you've mentioned you're doing your best with it. I think it's just about getting that specificity of that strength and control work. Yeah, strength and conditioning work.
That's my experience with cramp is I would ask my body to do something it didn't have capacity for, basically. And luckily, it doesn't happen anymore, but that was my early days experience with cramp, just asking it to do a little bit too much. What about yourself, Trish?
So I'd ask a couple of questions based on what you say. So I'll ask the questions and then maybe you can ask yourself them. So you said you've run ultras for the past 4 years, currently training for the winter spine, prep is going well. So did you have cramping prior to this, or is it just a recent thing in your spine training? And if it's a recent thing in your spine training, again, that would kind of point to it being moving into the bracket of overuse, or some disparity in terms of the muscle groups there. Has it happened before, or is it just a new thing for the spine? Therefore, if it is, it's probably some kind of overuse injury. So maybe take a look at your load. Are you increasing your load too much? Are you doing too many long days out, for example? Have you just started introducing speed sessions, or have you upped your speed, or etc.? So maybe look at your training plan and have a look if there's been any changes there. The second thing is with cramp, generally it is due to either overload or electrolytes. You've got to also remember, looking at where you are, so you talk about being 15-mile race, that could be a point where you're actually quite dehydrated. So if you're becoming more dehydrated, you're more prone to having an electrolyte imbalance and therefore more prone to cramping. So maybe just take a look at your hydration. As runners, we're really bad at actually understanding how much water, how much actual fluid we need to take on. I did a recent study and actually, I thought I was pretty good with taking on water, and I was not comparatively to the amount that I sweat. So we constantly get that wrong as runners. So have a look at your hydration. You might think you're taking on enough water, you probably aren't. And the last thing I would say is, you talk about strength and conditioning. What does your strength and conditioning actually look like? So hopefully you've got something from the physio that says this is the issue, obviously with the muscle, and these are the exercises that you can do to help make that better. Have a look at your S&C. It really does make a difference. So things like lifting heavy and having a periodized strength and conditioning plan. So not lifting heavy all the time, but certainly lifting heavy, for example, at the start of your training plan, and then making sure that's a structured, periodized strength and conditioning plan going through your full training. That's really important. And maybe have a look at your S&C plan as well, because if you're just doing, for example, body weight exercises as strength and conditioning, that's probably not really helping you in terms of being an endurance runner. So yeah, those are some questions I'd chuck out, and maybe some so what's therefore that you might want to do afterwards. But to summarize, electrolytes, dehydration, hydrate well, make sure you check your load increase, and check out your strength and conditioning again to really get into the detail of what that looks like and what it should look like for something like the spine race going forward.
Don't forget, you've got precision fuel and hydration in your corner for sweat testing. You can book a call with one of the sports scientists and actually go through your fueling. Also, they might be able to help and give you a bit of advice as well, because if you've cramped before, that beginning onset of cramp, when you get the first little electrical twinge of oh my gosh, the cramp is coming, what to do then? And if it's something like the spine, you've got to sort it. So stopping, taking on some salt, hydrating. So I would also think about booking a call with one of their sports scientists and going through your fueling. They'll have heard it all before. That was why the company was set up, was because Andy couldn't stop cramping during endurance events. So use their knowledge as well. Is there a bat in your house?
Bugs. Australia.
From Australia. She's got an enormous spider. Best of luck. Don't let it put you off. It can be solved. It can be solved. This isn't something that can't be solved. It just might take a little bit of extra work and a bit of thought and care and attention as well. You got this. Just
one more thing as well. On the winter spine, you're not going to be doing a hard effort. Like this winter spine is a slog.
You might be.
You ain't pushing. If you're pushing 3 miles an hour, you are doing well. So there will not be any hard efforts.
No, the only thing is if you got very tired, like when you get those couple of cheeky little climbs like Penigent or Cauldron Snout or something. Yeah. There could be the I think your first port of call is dialing into precision fuel and hydration and getting a plan in place, as well as doing big list. You might need to replay this a few times if you're a cramper to hear what Trish's question and answer. Ask yourself the question.
Sorry we got to this so late, Nick, and sorry to see your name down as retired. Oof. I saw the conditions out there for the spine sprint where people were just smashing their way through ice. So yeah, early days on the spine race, super, super tough conditions. Hope you're okay. And yeah, I'm really curious actually, what was the reason for the retirement? If you have a question for our coaches, then we do it slightly differently now. Pop over to tntrails.com, or there will be a link in the show notes. You click on there and there's a Google Doc, a Google form, or whatever it's called. But yeah, fill in your deets there, send them over, and we will put them to the coaches.
This week's main interview is sponsored by Phoenix. Thanks, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring this week's show. Don't forget, patrons can enjoy 10% off over at www.phoenixlight.co.uk. You know it, everybody. We love the HM65RT version 2 headlamp. Gary, did you get yours in the post? A little postie?
It was great. The universe is back on track. It was great to be aligned.
Thanks for leaving the battery stone. I never even used it. So you can shove it up your bajingles. I never used your headlamp. So you obviously sent it to me uncharged.
Blah, 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 blah.
You probably sent it to me uncharged on purpose. You were like, I'm going to sabotage it.
Nasty.
Anyway, charge it up. Yeah. And I'm never borrowing anything from you again. You've gone on and on and on about how kind you were. And you do a good deed.
Oh, my goodness me.
No
didn't expect
good
this
deed
to turn.
goes unpunished. Anyway, loads of Phoenix lights lighting up the Pennine Way. Robin Cassidy, Lucy Gossage, Sam Skinner, all friends of the show, all with those on. So we love being part of the Phoenix family, because I just love you. The fact that we're sponsored by something that I put on my head.
That is the most popular question. If people slip into my DMs, apart from all the
apart from the red
smutty
shorts.
ones,
Yeah.
apart from all the smutty messages, what is the head torch we use? Without a doubt, that is the most popular question I get.
This week's guest, we didn't ask her about her head torch choice, is Sanna Duthie. Such a great chat. She's not just a busy athlete, she's a busy person, but she gets it all done. She's a big fan of double days. No spoilers, let's get straight into it.
Sanna Duthie is an accomplished ultra-marathon runner based in Pembrokeshire, Wales. She has participated in several challenging races, including Dragon's Back Race, Ultra Trails Wales and the Arc of Attrition. Recently, she won the Chester Ultra 100 by GB Ultras, finishing in 22 hours. Sanna is also involved in fundraising efforts for the Wales Air Ambulance Charitable Trust. She ran the Montane Dragon's Back Race in 2023 to raise money for this cause. We've both been on that. Well, it's multiple start lines for the Dragon's Back Race. I'm curious though, Sanna, what planted the seed for the Dragon's Back Race?
Yeah, but a lot of it was to run the Spine of Wales was very motivational for me. And I had a friend that had done it like when it used to only be like 5 days, a lot more map reading. I thought, I'd love to do that, but I didn't think I ever could. So I kept training. It was like a 5-year goal plan.
Oh, wow.
And then when it wasn't like a 1-year plan. It's always been something like on my bucket list. It was a bucket list race for me. In 2022, I was on the panel of the judges for the Wales Air Ambulance because they did the same thing in 2022. And then in 2023, I was available to do the race. I felt in quite good fitness because it takes a long time to train for it. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to put myself forward. And I was fortunate enough to be selected. I had a good relationship with the Wales Air Ambulance, and it definitely made, you need your reasons why, don't you, for Dragon's Back? And that was a very strong pull to keep pulling me through. I don't know why I want to do Dragon's Back, and I don't know if I'll ever do it again. It was pretty tough. But to run the Spine of Wales feels pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was wild. I was going to ask you that, if you would ever go back, or maybe, I don't know, Cape Wrath?
I did look at Cape Wrath, actually. That's another one tinkering away in the back of my head, but that's logistically quite a bit harder.
Yeah.
Wales is quite easy for me to get to and from, so, yeah. But Cape Wrath is and it's longer days-wise, isn't it? So
that's right, yeah.
Life.
Did you manage to, the first time I ever stepped foot on course was day one in Conwy. Did you know the route? I know you mentioned about the nav there. Did you get to know the route?
Not as familiar as some other people. I definitely wanted to get Crib Goch done. That was a very weak point for me, and a lot of people who've seen me go across Crib Goch was then very shocked to see a very different type of Sanna running in the latter days. I was a mess. I had bruises all on the backs of my legs and my bums because there was every point of contact. Because I was so scared. But I knew once I'd overcome that hurdle, I'd stood better chances further on. So that was a bit that I definitely did. And I know the Brecon Beacons quite well, but from the other way, I was familiar with sections of that. And I did some of day 4. So not overly, just getting up there when I could. And sometimes I just went up there, did different routes with friends who were recceing bits, just to be familiar with the terrain. But no, I wasn't fully aware of it, just bits of it. But you won't remember it, even if you recceed all 6 days of it. When I got to certain bits, I couldn't, when I've gone back now and done bits of it, I can't even remember doing it at that time. So I think that could be a trauma block out, but
I always wish I got, you see those sensational photographs. I think on day 1, they try and get that picture of someone on Crib Goch looking sensational, get it off to the Times or something like that. It's a lovely, big, sensational photograph. I think mine was like you just said, as many points of contact as possible.
Well, I actually did have a really good photo on the on Crib Goch, and it's in that the journal book that we had, and I'm like, I look quite cool on it. I'm like, that's Photoshop. That was definitely not me. But
Excellent.
I didn't.
And did it deliver? I'm sorry to turn into a Dragon's Back race chat, but for me, it was probably, there's been a price to pay for Dragon's Back race. I don't think I've been the same mentally or physically afterwards. But as far as an event goes, I don't think there's been any one that has gave me so much. I absolutely loved it, every second of it from start to finish.
I have been, this is a bit of my struggle for this year. I've only actually entered one race for 2025, and I have my FKT challenge, which I'm going to do as well in the first quarter of the year. I did 3 100 miles last year, and they were great races and I performed really well. But I just feel a bit empty. I can't find that motivation or that want for anything else, and I'm sure it will come back. But right now, I just, because it was like over 5 years I'd been wanting to do this, and I did it, and I didn't think I would. And now I'm like, now what, And I was on the wait list for the Spine, and I did get a place, but it was like 4 weeks before the start date, and I feel like that wasn't enough time to. Yeah. And now the weather, I'm like, nah, it's okay, thanks. It was a blessing.
I think so, yeah. I've seen that with the forecast. We'll carry on with this AI intro. It's inspiring to see her dedication to both running and supporting such a vital service. I think AI's been a bit mean. Sanna, there's lots of FKTs, more than several challenges just in 2024 alone, and there's at least one course record there. I think AI normally does give someone a glowing report, but I think you've been gypped there.
Well, it's not perfect yet, is it?
She's not done the Marathon des Sables. It's not even like thrown that one in either, has it?
4 course records last year.
You even got it wrong, Gary, and you're the number one stalker.
I said multiple. I said I hedged my bets. I'd like to know a little bit more about your dog, Logan. Is that a running companion?
He was. He's now 13. He's deaf, bless him, but he still acts like he's 3, but I have no recall with him, so obviously I can't really run with him. But yeah, I ran until he was about 7 years old. I got better, he got slower, so now he's my warm-up walks and cool-down walks afterwards. But he's like a therapy dog to me. He was given to me by my dad when I was going through a rough patch, and it was to make sure I got up every day and the basic things. And I suppose he helped me get out running when the days were tough. I went out with him, and nothing makes you smile more than seeing a spaniel running around hunting things, does it? It's such a freeing.
Well, I think some spaniel owners might say smile is a big word when they're like, you.
Yeah, he's mischievous, but he's brought many smiles. And like on Dragon's Back, I missed him so much. And when I'm away on the weekends, I do miss him. But he's always your biggest fan when you come back home, aren't they? Nothing says I love you like the greeting from a dog.
I love you. Well, you just have to go to the other room and come back in. They're like, oh my God, I love you. I love you.
Imagine a cat, though. A cat couldn't care less, could it? You could be away for weeks and weeks.
Like you just didn't feed me.
Why Logan, though? Are you a Wolverine fan?
Yes, he is actually named after Wolverine. At one point, we had X-pigs, so we had 3 guinea pigs that I rescued, and they were all named after X-Men.
I love that. I think Logan is. I like the name, just the name anyway. Even though I like the X-Men too. Good one to shout as well.
Although I have had a few kids go, that's my name, why are you shouting at me? But they're actually younger than Logan, so I'm like, you was your first.
Yeah.
It's better than being called Deadpool. Imagine that if you're called Deadpool.
Oh, yeah, that yeah. There probably is one out there.
100%, yeah. We ask all our guests, where are you? What's the view from your window? Oh, Lindy. And have you been for a run today?
I'm at home in my dining room. My view from my windows is all my plants and my hamster cage. And yes, I've been out for 4 miles this morning, and then I often split my run, so I'll go after this then. Double run day.
And is that we always talk about this, everyone has their 5 mile, 4 mile, 6 mile loop. Is that your little kind of standard 4 mile that you do every day?
It's very similar, but I do like to mix it up. I do get bored if I do the same thing over and over again, and like it's been quite icy, so I've been sticking to like less tarmac in the mornings, and then in the evenings, my work is right by the Pembrokeshire coast path, like literally half a mile down a footpath. So I run around that a lot, and when it's low tide, I can go over the other side, which is always an exciting week. And so yeah, it's been low tide week this week. I love it.
I do the same when I get it on my watch when I go and stay at my mum and dad's, and then I time my run to run down, because then if you can run on the beach, my God, it's incredible.
What's the beach like? Sometimes I've been in Northumberland. Oh, goodness me, where was I staying once? In a caravan, but the actual beach was almost like a 45-degree angle.
Well, a lot of Pembrokeshire beaches are pretty flat, and like Tenby side, is our sandy beaches, but Sandyhaven is tidal, and literally it's like 100, well, probably like 300 meters, the whole thing to cross with a footbridge. But if you miss it, it's 4 miles round on tarmac.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I'd be sad about that.
So when it is low tide, it literally opens up a whole like extra 6 mile loop that I can have, and obviously more, but you're limited for time after work. So it really is exciting when it's low tide for me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your running journey? What pulled you into running? Did you come from a like cross-country background at school, a road background? Where did running find its way into your life?
It wasn't at school at all. I just did your basic PE. And when I was in college, I was going to the gym just to general fitness for looks more than anything, like weight loss, that typical teenage kind of thing. I did a race for life. Do you remember them before park runs? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I did that, which was 5K, and I loved it. It was like my first ever race. It was fun, and obviously they're for charity, and I did raise a small amount for cancer research, and I just loved that whole everybody supporting everyone and cheering. But then I moved away to Cardiff, and it was very much gym life there. And when I came back home to Pembrokeshire, the gyms weren't so great here. There was not so many classes. It's just very different, small town from city. So I just started doing my 5Ks again, built up to 10K, did the British 10K in London. It was fine, but it was road running.
Was it really busy?
Yeah, it was. It was quite like weird for coming from country bumpkin to that. I remember shouting "Oggy, Oggy, Oggy" through the bridges, and everyone did it. Quite weird. And then in 2013, I did my first marathon, long course weekend in Tenby.
Yeah, tough one.
Very hot, and I just thought I was rubbish because that's what it felt like to do marathons, and then soon realised that no, it's quite a tough marathon, and it was pretty hot that year. 2014, I did London Marathon, and it was okay. I think because I was fed up of everyone asking me if I'd done it, so I thought I'm going to do it, and then I've done it, and I can tell everyone that. Road running, I kind of was dribbling off it. It wasn't giving me what I needed. I always loved the beach, and we got the Baselli Hills here in Pembrokeshire, not mountains, and there was a running group called Redu Baselli, so running Basellis. We go up there with our sandwiches, do a bit of running, fall over, have a laugh, and I was like, this is definitely much more fun.
Much better.
And then I was hooked. So in I did a few small trail races locally, and then in 2015 I did my first 50 miler, the Gower 50 run walk crawl.
Oh yeah.
Fell over, got completely lost, but had a great time, met some good people, and still connected with now, and I was hooked. Did my first 100 miler in 2017 and realised, this is actually much better. You get to go out for a whole day or more running and escape the world. And, it feels really something to achieve, something to train for. And I love that focus, and the rest is history.
Your training must have really developed, like going from like just dabbling into 10Ks and then a marathon training and then going on to the trails. What does your training, you already mentioned you're doing a double day today, which Gary and I were licking our lips at, going, we love a double day. What does your training look like? People love the training chat. What does your sort of like normal training week look like?
So I have 4 days of double days. So Mondays are my quiet today, but my mileage is at typically between 70 and 90 miles a week, with 1 to 2 gym sessions a week then as well. I do a lot of walking with the dogs and just general conditioning, just keep on top of that. But yeah, I split my runs, so I try and do 10 to 12 miles Tuesday to Friday, and then like tomorrow I got a 20-mile run planned with my friend, and then Sunday will just be probably like 10, 13, 30 miles. But I am in a busy week because I'm trying to get ready for 200-mile races, so it's pretty high.
Yeah. And do you do any workouts in that, or is it just all just lovely Pembrokeshire coastal path runs?
Generally is pretty like leisure, not like I have my quicker runs, and then on the weekends they are more just endurance, being out, not worrying about pace. But I realised that this year that I probably do need to be a little bit more structured. So I actually did my first hill repeat session last night, which was a bit weird.
What was
Walk
it?
me through. Yeah, come on, let's have the deets.
Oh, so there's this hill. It's about 0.4 of a mile, between 8 and 10%. So I decided to do like three reps of that, and then I forgot that after I finished doing 3 reps of that hill, there was another one after it. So technically, I did 4 hill repeats for about a mile, and the whole run was 7 miles in the end. Yeah, it's a bit different for me. I don't like doing repetitive things like that, but I think I need to to up my level. There's always room for improvement. And also my New Year's is to focus more on the gym work as well, on working on some of my weaknesses like my hamstrings and some lower leg. Just I need a bit more power for the uphills, because I noticed on like in Dragon's Back you've got the pros, they just fly up those uphills, and I was like, I want to be a bit better, not feel so struggling.
I think if you can, you're really good. You can handle the volume. If you can handle the volume, you can't add more volume to that, really. You're probably at your limits of volume. And so it's a good idea to look at, well, if I want to improve, what else? I got to do something different, not just do the same and not just add more volume, which I think lots of people are in danger to. I love volume.
I don't think increasing my mileage to 100 mile a week, say, would necessarily increase my overall performance. It would just maybe make me a bit more tired.
Less time with Logan, more time outside.
Unless I'm eating. So if I can just upgrade what I've got, my body a bit, and keep the same mileage.
I'd like to upgrade too. I keep trying. Tesco's, can I upgrade this one?
Just enhance,
Can you list to us your 2024 resume? Because it is quite impressive what you did.
So January was my first race. It was the fan dance. So that's just shy of 14 miles. I came first overall in that. Don't know how.
Wow.
But that was quite a feat. And then in the March, I did what's called Rastari Marathon. So it's a coastal marathon. I had a course record on that this year. And then I had Chester 100. I can't remember what month that was, so it's not going to say it on the trophy. Chester 100. Then I did Ultra Wales 50 miles in the June. Then I did Brecon Beacon 100 in the July. Oh, I remember in May I started UTS 100, but unfortunately I DNF'd because I fell over at Malta Bod and hurt my shin, and I was more worried about causing long-term injury and not being able to do the things else I had planned. So that May. So then I had Brecon Beacon 100 miles in July, which was actually 107. And then I did the Snowdon 100 in September. Another race in November, I forgot, coast to coast at the Llyn Peninsula, 37 miles, and I finished third. That was a last minute because I felt pretty good after, I recovered quite well after Snowdon 100. And then that's it.
Oh my goodness.
If you're listening to this, this isn't normal. Do not feel this isn't normal. Sanna will not mind me saying this, that is a lot of races. How do you manage to, not just physically, but mentally recover? Because they're not even like the Centurion Grand Slam hundreds are quite spread out. So you've got time, they're quite concentrated in that mid block of the year. What did you do in between?
Ate a lot.
Good. That is, I truly a big fan of that. Yeah.
I don't like to admit it much, but sometimes I do restrict because you feel like you shouldn't eat certain things and you should eat.
No, I never feel that. So, no, Sanna, always embrace.
I do. I have had problems with that before. So I very consciously try, it was tough, but I was like, if you're hungry, Sanna, you just need to eat. You need to recover.
Well done. Brilliant.
So I think that was a bit of a shock to my body. So it helped more probably a lot, was eating well. If I was tired, I'd have an early night and naps on the weekend as well. So I allowed myself to sleep when I needed, I wasn't being lazy. My body needed it. And then I have some of my double day runs that I would normally do. I was kinder to myself and just reduced that to the one. So that helped. And had more runs with friends, so they were more relaxed and enjoyable. So I wasn't pushing myself too much as well. And incorporated a bit more gym work. I do my stretching and all better when I'm in the gym in between sets and stuff. So I think that helped as well.
Oh, all those details. I love it. My goodness me, if I'm in bed, if I'm brushing my teeth at 8:30, I'm winning.
I was like, I'm just going to go to bed at making sure I was sleeping by 9, 9:30 every night. And it just makes such a difference.
Weekend naps too. They are winning.
With
Weekend
Logan.
nap. Oh, with Logan. Yeah, there's nothing like a dog nap on the
now,
sofa.
nothing wakes him up. So we literally, before somebody walked past the window, he'd be like, what's that? And we'd wake up. But now we're just out solid for an hour, both of us.
Oh, that's incredible. So you mentioned about your fall at UTS. Then you got a big race on Snowdon. So similar kind of terrain. What was your, I suppose, mindset going into that? Obviously, a fall, for me, that would kind of put a lot of fear into me. Spoiler, you smashed it. But yeah, what was your mindset going into it?
I was really determined because I was really upset what happened on YouTube. Not upset, but disappointed then with what happened on Snowdon. I didn't have the best start in that race. I think the lunchtime starts just do not work for me, something I've realised and learned. But I was really starting to feel, I got to Capel Curig and I was like, oh yeah, I feel a lot better now. And I was starting to pick off some of the people in the lead pack because I'd had a slower start. I'm like, I'll be all right, just keep going, keep eating now and you'll have a good time. And then I was up on Walterboard on my own and I've never done that section before. And there's lots of potholes, I suppose, and I just missed my foot in I banged my back once and then I jammed my leg down a hole and went forward and that's how I hit my shin. Really lost my nerve and then I couldn't run on the downhill down the fire road and I'm like, I can't do this. It's not worth injuring myself over. But I was really bummed and I was like, didn't know if I'd made the right decision or was I wimping out too early. It was really...
It's really tricky, isn't it? Yeah.
And then when I came to Snowdon, I'm like, this is not going to happen again. You are doing this. And then I fell over 13 miles in, smashed my shin again, covered in blood, bleeding and everything. But it was a different type of hit. This was just banged my leg on a rock, not jarred it and jammed it. And I went up Snowdon. I thought, if it still hurts when I come back down, because it was a checkpoint, then I'd have to reconsider. But it was fine. But I was just determined, just so determined to get it done. And that race is a bit cruel because you cross the finish line at the halfway to go back out and do a second loop. Normally that would be my thing to think, you are kind of drawn to stop there, just get the 50 miler type thing. Yeah. I was so determined. I'm like, nope, I am doing this. And because I wanted that bit, does a bit of what the UTS, what I missed. So I was really looking forward to doing that. So mentally that was fine. But yeah, it's a great race.
Could you though, mid-race or before mid-race, decide to finish halfway?
No, because their 50 milers started at a different time. I think they started half hour after us. So
I see. Okay. I remember I did the Trail Marathon Wales. Oof, goodness me, it could be 2014 or something. And it was a figure of 8. And you could, as you were coming up to the halfway mark, you wouldn't be competitive, I don't think, in the half marathon, but you could get a finish in the half marathon. And I just thought, wow, that is really tempting.
You did it. You did that, didn't you, Gary?
No, I didn't.
Pulled it in.
There's a race locally by Endurance Life, and it's a marathon and an ultra. And if the ultra basically is just one extra loop of Dale, but you can, and then so you do the loop of Dale and you come back, and if you want to carry on, you do it again, or you can do the marathon and they will drop you down. But like you said, it's not competitively. Yeah. And I remember one year the weather was bad, and so many people drop down before it's just too easy. And I think that's why I don't like backyard ultras. It's so easy to drop out because you go to your little finish pod or whatever each time and there's no definite end, and then you can just mentally drop out,
Do you enjoy racing, Sanna? Is that because that is so many races, you must because I know lots of people feel the pressure, but you always look so happy, or is that just when the photographers are there?
I love the roots and the community and being around and helping other people through and other people helping me and meeting people. But racing and the pressure, like you said, I absolutely hate it. And that was one of the hardest things. When I was stood Breck and they're like, you're going to win it at Snowdon. You're gonna win it. But I don't know what day I'm going. Obviously I hope for the best, but anything can happen in those distance, like what happened in UTS. And I've had some great races and some good times, but I have had my fair share of DNFs as well. And sometimes it's nice to not. I wish I could just maybe put a brown hair wig on and cover up all my tattoos.
Yes. You're just so beautiful. You're so beautiful. See, I can rock up to people are like that old lady. She's no use for anything.
But I think that's why I like Dragon's Back so much, because I wasn't anyone there. And because it's not like a race line where we all know where we're at, that felt much more like an adventure. It was only really like day 6 I kind of even realised where I was at in there. I hadn't bothered looking, and somebody said, I think I had a message off my phone, like, you're going to finish in top 10, and I hadn't even really thought about that.
For someone like me, that pressure on the start line, every race that I do, it's what's it called? A time trial. It's a time trial. I'm not racing anybody. I just can't imagine what the psychology is for people, especially when people are basically coming up to you and saying, oh yeah, you're going to win this. That just layer on some pressure that might not be welcome.
Yeah, I know everyone means well with it, and it's in supporting me, but it is a lot of pressure. I'm not always gonna win. That could have been it, 2024, and now it's just racing and taking part.
All downhill. No, I'm joking.
But there is going to be a time when I'm not going to. So. And I'm ready, I'll embrace that when that happens.
Well, yeah, I think from your background, what running has brought into your life as well, that you didn't start it thinking it's because I want to win. You're not coming from a super, some people are coming from another sport, being super competitive, another sport, whatever. This is sort of fallen in to you as this is what you love doing.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle and it's a love. I love nature and I love being outside and supporting and helping and, the community that it brings. It just happens that 2024 and a few other years I've had some really good races, and I work hard and I train hard, but it's not necessarily to win. It's just because I want to be the best I can be.
Mine is just to beat Gary basically at the Team Trails Ultra. It's my whole training.
Smackdown.
June 28th, June the 27th, course marking.
Good to have some healthy competition.
Do you think that's why you're drawn to the FKTs as well? That is your own adventure?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's only me and a clock. I can keep moving goalposts if I need to, it's much more relaxed. But then there is a bit of the thing with a tracker on you. People are watching you, so you kind of got to keep going. I did for my birthday, I run an ultra, so my year's in miles. So it was 37 miles this December, my birthday this year, and I had the tracker to make it easier and to practice ready for my FKT this year. And there's a bit I was like, maybe I'll stop here and have a little thing and think, drink, or just a little chill out. I'm like, can't, everyone's watching. So
people might be worried, why is Sanna stopping?
Yeah, that was but it's good as well to keep you moving. So it's a catch-22, I guess.
Can we have the deets on the Pembrokeshire Coastal Path? I know the deets, but couldn't you share the deets and the times, because that is pretty impressive.
I don't remember the elevation, but I think it's a lot. But it's 186 miles, and you start in Poppet in North Pembrokeshire, and you run all the way then to Amroth on the Carmarthenshire border.
To the New Inn, I think, is actually the finish sign.
Yeah, at the very end, there's two things that commemorate the start and end. And obviously, like I said, there's a tidal crossing, so you have to incorporate that, which is 110 miles in, so it's quite hard to work out. And my current record and the fastest record is 51 and a half hours. That's supported. So I'll have my dad, Andrew, and a few other people crewing and pacing. I want to suffer, but not too much.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to beat that time was because I always had in my head that I wanted to do it in 50 hours. But,
oh my God.
And obviously I didn't quite get that. A, weather didn't help, and B, that was the furthest I'd ever ran. It was all very new to me, and now since then I've done 215 miles. I've done Dragon's Back. I've had what I've had this year. I just feel I feel I can do it better, so that's why I want to go back. The Coast Path has had quite a bit of damage in the last few years with the roads and things, so I've been in talks with the Pembrokeshire National Trust, and I want to help raise funds for it, so I feel like this is a good time to do that as well, and hopefully restore some damage that has already been done before it gets worse, you know, so that's why I want to raise awareness for that as well.
What time of year did you do it last time? And are you planning on the same time of year this time?
So it was early May, and I'm planning like April, May again. I can't do it any later in May because we have no mow May, and the overgrowth on the Pembrokeshire coast path is just as slow as running through like mud. I've got to watch out for weather storms again, weather warnings, because that always seems to happen to me. And so I'll watch the weather closely. And we've got the 2025 tide tables, so I'm working out those times.
Yes, you'd like to go with the weather, but also I guess the tide comes first, and then
so I don't want to be starting at night, so if I've got like a few penciled in dates, and then that's a good thing with the FKT, you can kind of just I don't want to keep moving it, but I also want to have optimum conditions. So at the moment the path isn't great, but hopefully we don't have too much rain in the next couple of months, and I can look at doing it at the end of April. But I'll just keep an eye on it, see how I feel. And at the end of the day, all I need is my dad, Andrew, and me Andrew's my partner, to do it.
Will Logan be like in the van, in the car, or will he just be...
No, he's like, even though he's deaf, like the other day Andrew met me and he came running up to me saying, "Oh, hi Mum," and then like sprinted off down the beach, and then I'm chasing the deaf dog. No, he won't be coming.
How deaf is this deafness?
Deaf, like nothing.
It's never like biscuit, sometimes. And he goes, yeah. I heard that.
No, if you could smell it, yes, but yeah, I've tested all these things. Like initially, I thought it was just ignoring me, and I think it was for about a year. But yeah, he's definitely deaf.
The coast path. Lots of people will have run, maybe will be about to run like the Arc of Attrition on the on the Cornish coastal path. Describe to us a little bit about what like the Pembrokeshire coastal path is like.
Then the first 50 miles is very up and down. It's rock base, and it starts off very rocky based, so that's okay. But then it becomes the red mud, the sandstone mud, and it is just slipping and sliding everywhere. There is no really big climbs like say Penavan or Cadair Idris. It's just lots of short and sharp climbs. Navigation's pretty easy. It's pretty well marked. Keep your sea on your right, all that. There's 4 headlands, which I think of as well. And they have you go up onto them, across them, down them. And there's quite a lot of technical, nothing like Crib Goch, but you have to be able to, keep your wits about you. So in the nights it can be a bit slower, navigation, because some of it's thin in places. And then you have some bits like Milford Haven where you might have 5 miles of tarmac, which is you're quite grateful for. Other than that, there's not huge amounts of tarmac. I think Cornwall had quite a bit of tarmac in places, if I remember the Arc. Is it from Penzance?
There's like a 13 mile stretch, isn't there? There's talk of people put on carbon plated shoes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. Now, yeah, there's none of that there.
None of that in Wales. None of that in Pembrokeshire. And what about your sleep strategy? What did you do last time and what are you going to do this time?
So I only had a 15-minute nap and about 160 miles in. And
you
that
must have been hanging.
Well, yeah, I had to, because I was hallucinating and starting to fall asleep on the path. So my friend at the time, he said to my dad she needs to sleep. So I think they were planned on making me sleep for half an hour. But I was like, right, no, we're going to go at 6. So it'll start getting lighter. I literally woke up before the alarm. I'm like, right, we've got to go. And everyone's like, okay, we're going. So I was just so determined. So I planned no sleep this time because I should be doing it in less time. So
no sleep. Wow, you're going to be out of your mind.
No, well, if you're walking, then you can kind of recover a bit. But when I did the Wild Horse 215 miles, and that was 72 hours I stayed awake for. And I was okay.
It was fine. Love it.
Well, I don't know if it's a superpower. I'll sleep after it, that's for sure. I just think if I keep moving, I'm making progress, Naturally, you'll want to sleep in. There's always this time I find between 3 a.m. and sunrise, you naturally just your body's like, please let me sleep. Yeah. But as soon as that sun comes back up, if you can fight through it, you'll be all right then while it's daylight. So I'll only have 2 lots of fighting, hopefully.
And what you're eating, are you cheese and pickle sandwiches or is it gels?
I do use a lot of gels and Heed, so it's your powder in your water. But I use Boost bars are my favourite thing. They're the right combination of chocolate and biscuit. Oranges. And when I did my FKT last time, it was sweet chicken and sweet corn sandwiches, which I've never had before, but they'll be featured
Interesting.
again.
Okay.
And cola as well. That to me, I don't drink it in normal life, so when I have that on a race, I'm like buzzing.
Oh, it's like a guilty pleasure at race day.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola.
yeah.
Oh, my goodness me.
Just give me the cola. But
Minstrels, they're another good one. M&M's. Oh, well, you can't eat peanuts. Yeah, don't. Stay away
yeah,
from
no
them.
nuts. But no, Boost bars and like celebration, the mini Mars bars. I've been using them quite a bit as well, actually. Last year, the little mini Mars bars, they're quite easy.
A Twix? Would you venture into the Twix? Oh, she's not happy.
Too much
She doesn't
biscuit.
know. Too much biscuit.
Yeah, too
Lord.
dry.
Too dry. Oh my God, I
I've got
don't.
much time. I got to keep running.
I know.
So where's race across Scotland then in the scheme of the year? I'm just trying to visualise after
It's in
the FK.
August.
Okay, August, yeah.
Yes, I do want to do something else. I just don't know what yet, and I don't want to cram it like I did last year. I think mentally and emotionally, like I loved it, and obviously I did really well, but it was quite, like you said, it's a lot mentally, and I don't really want that again. So I think I'll have like a calmer year this year and not have that pressure of racing and keep it open. It's always nice to see what will come up and not buck everything up. So you have to turn things down.
Any tips? Somebody might be out there thinking, I've never even attempted an FKT. Any tips for someone out there who's thinking, yeah, I've got a lovely coastal path near me. I'm going to have a crack at it.
FKTs are great, but they why we pay for races is because it's planned for us, isn't it? We know where the checkpoints and all are there, so it does take a little bit more planning logistically. If it's an ultra distance FKT, then it does take a bit more planning. So if you've got crew, then that's great, but you still need to kind of organise them as well. So it's a lot to think about, but it's such great fun and such an achievement for you and your crew. Like you got out there and did it. But just remember, there's a bit more planning. Yeah, it's not just about the training. You then have to go out there and think where you want the people to stop. If you haven't got a tracker, you have to time that. So it's just a little bit more to think about. But you can also bring as much or as little stuff as you want. Like I had 3 of those big plastic boxes, like trainers, socks, clothes, and then boxes of food. You can have what you want, and if you forgot something, someone can go get it.
Yeah, and you can go, no, I don't want any of that. I want a pot noodle. I want pizza.
Suppose I'm a diva when it comes to races. That's what Andrew told me. He's like, I've never seen you like this before.
For an FKT, a bit different to a Guinness World Record, what do you have to show to prove to get yourself sort of on the web page?
You have to have a proof of the route, so like GPX. So I use the tracker and my Strava, so I double up on it to prevent discrepancies. And you have to do a write-up, explaining the route and anything that you come, any adversities and the good things.
Like a book review that my kids always seem to have to do at school, prove you've actually read this book and not just the back of it.
Yeah, that's right. Say a bit about the weather and the ground conditions and who because it's supported, who supported you. And if it's not supported, where did you get your things from, like your food and water? How did you fuel yourself to prove that nobody did support you? But yeah, you're allowed I can't remember the percentages, allowed to be a certain amount of route discrepancies, but not over a certain amount. And so just photos of proof. And GPX is the main thing, really.
Wow, well, best of luck, Sanna, with everything for 2025. Another exciting year. Is there a fundraising link? Can we point people in the right direction if they can afford to support you?
Yeah, that would be amazing, any support that anyone can. But yes, I've got a Just Giving page set up, which obviously it goes straight to the charity then. And I got a fundraising link on my Instagram as well. Again, that goes straight to the charity, so I can share that with you guys.
Would you also share when you're actually going to go so that we can track you dot, send you good wishes? I can definitely send mum and dad down on the coast path. They can bring their spaniels.
Yeah, always helps dogs. Always helps morale.
Yeah, just a little spaniel's ear. That's all you need. A little. Yeah. Okay, I'm ready. I can crush the last bit.
Wiping tears away as well.
Okay, quick 5 time. Is Logan allowed on the furniture?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
On the bed, on the sofa, anywhere he wants.
Oh, incredible.
Oh, he's all cuddled up. I love it. I feel terrible asking that now because I don't let the dogs on my new sofa. And now I feel like I'm one of the ones that said, well, you say that. We've had it since we've had it 2 months now. But there's little imprints where I know they've been when I go, I bet they're back there now, So I just pretend I just brush it and flatten it and go.
Any New Year's resolutions, and more importantly, are you still sticking to them?
Yes, so it's to go to the gym more, which I did go on Thursday. So yes, still sticking to that, and to drink more water or fruit teas. More fluids. And yes, I am sticking to that at the moment still as well.
I like that, the spin on it. Normally people give things up for the new year, but to do something extra that is positive. Yeah, I like the spin on that.
Yeah.
Favourite non-sports nutrition trail snacks?
Non-sport. Watermelon. I
That's
love
incredible.
watermelon. Yes.
Because watermelon seems to have these magic properties where I think it can really transform you from sad times to fun times almost immediately.
And my dad's roast dinner as well, but that's more of a recovery. That's an after tradition.
How many miles before home do you start visualising the roast dinner?
Oh, that's normally at the start.
Yeah.
So I like my dad's roast dinner. Has to be beef as well.
Roast beef.
Yeah.
Big mountains like the Dragon's Back race or more runnable trails?
More runnable trails.
I think I'm with you there. Well, I do like the mountains, but I don't want to trip over and hurt myself.
I do like them, but if I had to pick, and more of 9 times out of 10, I'd want more runnable and an adventure once a month up the mountains.
Oh,
I hear you. I'd like to be having my tea flask in the mountains and being up high on a hike, but then running. There's nothing like the smooth, hilly trail, is there?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too sure if you're going to be watching much TV if you're going to bed at 9 o'clock. But yeah, do you have a guilty TV pleasure?
No, I don't really watch much TV, but if I do, it's like X-Men, that type of thing. Deadpool.
You and Gary, you'd be.
Oh my goodness me, yeah. Is Logan your favourite character?
Yeah,
Isn't Deadpool the really violent one?
Yeah, but when it had Deadpool and Wolverine in it, it was life.
Okay.
Have you not seen it, Eddie? It is incredible.
No,
Yeah.
you told me it was too violent. You said it's not for you, Eddie.
But if you like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, you'll definitely like Deadpool 3.
I wouldn't say no, especially both of them.
So yeah, I'll stop running to watch those two characters.
Are you more like X-Men, or you go the whole Marvel universe too?
We downloaded Disney, and yeah, I realised I quite like the whole Marvel thing as well, like Doctor Strange as well. So yeah.
I took my eye off the ball. I let the Disney renew. It was like £129.
Yeah, my friend was saying hers went up. Yeah, I've only just started, so I don't think I'm on that bit yet. So I'll have to watch out for the end of the
Set a
year.
reminder on your phone, Sanna.
Yeah.
I got a real nasty shock when I logged onto my bank and there's 129 quid to Disney. Favourite bit of kit for 2024?
Oh, I've got the new a new backpack. I think new backpacks are always quite exciting because you don't get them very often. So it's the Solomon I brought out, the Advanced Skin 12, but for female. So obviously I'm quite petite, so I find that that's fitting me a lot better. So I'm excited to take that out on some proper adventures.
Yeah, I like that. Normally they just kind of pink and shrink it, don't they?
Well, you normally just have to pull it so tight, don't you? The sound of like you literally have to pull the things right in, which means then the bottles are like sitting, they're meant to sit on like basically, I think, sort of like underneath where your strongest bit of your shoulders and your chest are. But then as a woman, you sort of end up with it in a funny shape, don't you? Like, because you pulled it in so tight.
And like it presses in your ribs then as well.
Yeah.
So.
Instagram story music time. Every week we share the podcast over on Instagram, Sanna, and you get the choice, the musical choice. What song should we put to your Instagram story?
Oh my goodness, that's quite a tough on the spot one. It's like anything by Imagine Dragons, I think, it always feels like it's out in the wilderness.
What is that?
Yeah.
Top of the world, isn't it? That's the really...
Yes,
I'm on
that's
top
the
of the
one.
world.
Yes, that's how I feel when I'm on top of the mountains and out on the coast. So I think that's fitting.
I think that's brilliant for you. It's how we felt in this podcast chat. What a little ray of sunshine you've been on a very cold, it is a sunny day, but whoof, I'm just about to go.
Here.
Oh no. Well, I'm just about to go out for my second run of the day too. And I was going to go on the treadmill, but it's so sunny. And I'm like, shall we just get out there?
Flexing with your double runs.
I know, just dropped it in there, just heading out on my second 12 miler of the day. Hashtag. Not really. It's like 3 or 4 miles. And I'm only doing it really because I've got to walk the dogs anyway and they need like a couple of miles. So I'm like, I might as well just run with them because it's warmer. Walking is at this time of year, my hands just...
Yeah.
And the dogs are like, what is this? What is this walking? Come on.
You'll do whatever makes you get it in, doesn't it? And every bit's a bonus.
Oh, well, thank you so much for giving up your time. Enjoy your second run too. Best of luck with all the preparations.
Thank you.
Best of luck when you actually do. Let us know when you're going to go so that we can track you and we can send you big love from the podcast, and look forward to seeing what other adventures 2025 you've got lined up once you've recovered.
Thank you. No, I'm excited to see what plans out.
I've got to ask before you go, which way does the race across Scotland go? Is it west to east or east to west?
West to east. So
fingers crossed. You've got a nice gentle breeze on your back. So.
Yeah. Well, I've just booked the hotels as well, so I'm definitely doing it.
You're on.
Yeah.
Best of luck. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Good luck with your Pembrokeshire Coastal Path FKT attempt, Sanna. Everyone at T Trails is rooting for you. Stoked to have Harrier Trail running as our Strava, Club and Tales from the Trail sponsor. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specialist kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function with the best customer support. Check them out for race vests, waterproofs, poles and other trails essentials at the Harrier Run Free website, where you can also download your free copy of How to Run an Ultra guide. Use the code T10, that's all caps T and the number 10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out their brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off. First up on the Strava Club is Jason Livesey. Lovely run on the Dales, Jason. Some strength and condition, sauna, 2 stair-stepper workout. Very keen listeners will remember Jason from back in the day, 2022, episode 4. I did an outside broadcast from 2 to Hell. I think should we do some more?
Still one of my favourites, because what I love is like the background, like it's real, it's live.
Cups of tea, the chatter.
It was a lot of work for you, wasn't it, though, as well, to not just do it, but then like the editing and everything as well.
Well, I think if I was to do it again, I wouldn't be taking part in the event too.
Yeah.
But Jason's crushing it. 59.9 miles for the week. Longest run, 14.6 miles and just under, 9,777 feet of vert. Next up, Phil Wood. Phil's been racing. I talk about my anxiety for cross country. Phil has been crushing it. Yeah, put on the club's vest for an XC race, easy miles, stride, strength work and work out 6 times 1K. Anyone would think Phil had a coach. 56.9 miles for the week. Longest run, 15 miles, 1,657 feet of vert. Last but definitely not least, Adrian Brooker. Sensational long run, and he smashed a 14 mile on Friday night too.
14 miles, that is heavy flex. That is incredible.
Lots and lots of miles run by Adrian that week. I can't see, he's one of these people, and I do this, I think I do, if I'm doing a run with Rex, I'll just do morning run, I'll put a little emoji of Rex. All of Adrian's runs are just like morning run, afternoon run, so I don't know what the deets of what they are, but wow, 84.4 miles for the week with the longest run of 22.4 miles and 1,273 feet of vert.
We should say, like this week, we had a lot of heavy flexes in around the spice race. That's what it should be called, the spicy race. Can't read them all. And we don't like to choose either, so we literally just went first ones in, got the reading out. So if you sent a heavy flex and perhaps we don't read it, it's not because we don't love it, it's just you guys are just also amazing. I would like to nominate friend and co-MRP run leader Ilona Morgan for a heavy flex. Today she finished the Spine Challenger South as 4th woman. This was her 3rd attempt at the race. Love that. 2023 she suffered from being very cold and had to retire. 2024 she was suffering from foot pain and had to retire. She finished the Northern Traverse last year. I saw her at Tour de Helvellyn actually last year, but had major unfinished business with the spine. She had an awesome training block and smashed the race. We, her friends, are so freaking proud of her. I think Ilona's finished, so if my finish is correct, hoorah. I think that's well done. Hoorah.
and finish. Well done, Ilona. Heavy flex to the amazing Steve Hearn, keen runner. Yeah. Oh my goodness me, what was the episode that Steve was on? I am blanking. 83. Oh, it even says there. Who was a special guest on episode 83 for completing the 2024 spine sprint and full spine race. To top it this year, he decided to complete the Winter Downs 200 in December as a warm-up, then complete the spine sprint 46 miles in the snow and ice on Saturday. Honestly, if you just search through various trail running forums, you will see, I think it was Mark Derbyshire's shins were just bathed in blood. It looked absolutely brutal. He then got a lift back to Edale and is competing in the main spine race again. He is number 172 and currently heading up Great Shunner Fell. Please send him some positive mail through open tracking. Having volunteered with him at Cape Wrath Ultra last year, I can confirm that he is an all-round top bloke. Come on, Steve. You've got this.
We just checked, Steve, didn't we? Where did you see that he was now? Because that was set in a couple of days ago. Isn't that madness?
Yeah, so Steve currently, this is Friday, he's just left Bellingham. So that's about 212 miles. So he's still got some miles to go. Yeah, Steve, we are all rooting for you. Sensational. Heavy flex. Yeah, if you know someone who's flexed, or maybe you've been flexing, please let us know. This is your opportunity to pick up a mate or yourself. Email hello@tntrails.com and pop heavy flex as a subject. Tales from the trails.
I love it. We've got, again, a backlog. Oof, nasty backlog. Tales from the trails. So, but we love them. Do keep sending them in. A couple of them I've pulled out for this week. Rebecca Owen. Just wanted to say a huge, enormous thanks to Eddie. Oh, had the time of my life on the sprint at the weekend. So glad I listened to your voice in my head as well. Oh, he's mentioned again the inimitable David Roche. What a combo. We are quite a good combo. When my mouse slipped in February, entering the race, and not my own, telling me to wait another year. Prep took over everything for months, but it was worth every single second. Loved the whole thing and got so lucky with an utterly magical weather window. You are the absolute best. 3 quizzes. No, Rebecca, you are the absolute best. She shared as well a couple of brilliant pictures, the biggest smile on her face. So I do think, like, if you're thinking about pressing entering for a race, do it. Do it. Press enter, make the plans. Check the diary, press enter, make the plans after. But you got to train then, my dear friends. You've got to train. The other Tales from the Trails I wanted to mention this week, and this is a sort of a little bit of a teaser of future guests we're going to have on the show. But I also, when I read it, she sent me this. This is a coaching client of mine, and she sent me this amazing race report from, she did the Winter 100, which is the second half of the Winter 200. Not many deep winter 100-mile races that are offered up in the country, and Centurion do offer this. It starts just after the Winter 200. You don't actually cross paths like you might do on the spine race at all. They are too far ahead, but it's a great 100-mile option, or it's great if you're thinking of entering the 200. You're going to recce half the course, and you're going to kind of see the infrastructure, see what the terrain is like, and you're going to know the back end of the course, which I always think, if you're going to do these mega races, knowing the back end of the course is so important. Darla's journey is incredible, and I thought we'd just read you a little bit of the start of her race report, because I think it's just so inspiring when you and I, we get bogged down in our day-to-day, whining about the juggle of our lives. People are coping with much harder things than we are, and this is the start of Darla's race report. Reflections on the Winter Downs 100, 11 to 13th of December 2024. I clean and sterilise the countertop. I line up the materials to prepare: a large needle for mixing the drug, a small needle for injection, a syringe with dilution fluid, and a vial with a tiny amount of drug for dilution. I attach the large needle to the syringe and punch the vial top, inject the fluid to mix up the drug. I swap the large needle for a small one, and then I'm ready. I inject the drug into my right hip. It keeps me alive. The date today is important, December the 9th, 2024. I must leave one day between the injection and the start of the Winter Downs 100 in case I have a pain reaction. The timing of the injection is all part of good race preparation. I've had many years of practice getting this right. I don't want to be at the race start looking at the muddy climb out of Amberley with aching bones. Pain will happen in any case as the race evolves. I also take the opportunity to swallow a small white pill, a daily dose to impede recurrence of breast cancer. 10 years ago, I received the breast cancer diagnosis the day after I had run my fastest ever half marathon. 10 years on, I'm still rebuilding and lucky to be able to do so. I'm near the end of this treatment with its surgeries, drugs and radiation. The day I take the final pill will be one to celebrate. You guys, I know, that is a lot, isn't it? When I read that, you know, when you work with someone day in, day out, you almost get a little bit like, you know, you just get familiar with them. And then when you read that and you realize people's journeys, that they're still going on. And when you hear Darla's story, she's very kindly said she will come on the podcast and tell us about it. It's a real inspiration, and it's a lot of words bandied around for all these people doing incredible things, but
you very rarely get a little insight to what's going on.
Yes,
behind.
that's it. It's a little window of like, wow, she's amazing. And I just thought that would be just something to like when we are like slightly like, life is really busy, life is really tough, trying to fit in everything. And then, wow, Darla makes you step back and hold your breath and go, wow, you really are incredible. And I know there's lots of people out there juggling lots of things as well. We love your tales and trails, poems, stories, anything goes. This section is all about you guys. Please email them to hello@teaandtrails.com and pop tales from the trails as the subject. We're also now going to pass them on to Harriet too. So you might see yourself popping up on their socials.
More Spotify love. Yes, hot review time again. But Apple, my goodness me, I do not know.
It's going down and dirty. We're not having any of it, Apple. Pull your finger out and sort it out.
First one up is from Matt Blick. I don't know who said this. I think he's quoting, is it whatever tickles your fancy? It should be. But one of us has said whatever tickles your board. It's got to be you, that one.
I'd like to deny it, but it's probably true.
So inspiring. Next up is Ben Notley 50. I know Ben, he's a YouTuber. Yeah, check out Ben Notley's channel. Another sensational episode. It was great to hear Trish and Eddie's insights into the spine race. It really complemented the copious amounts of dot watching I have been doing this week. Very inspiring stuff. Keep up the great work, Team T and Trails, and the old clappy emoji.
Oh, I love the clappy hand emoji. I actually one night went to bed with a sore thumb from so much retrekking of open tracking. Where are they now? Where are they now? I was like, God, my screen time report. Oh, Lord above.
Well, I've got the spine race and open tracking to blame for. You know, my terrible phone admin slipped a bit with that.
It must have. But I kind of thought, I thought the same as I was like, 10 o'clock at night, which is got to be light off going to sleep by then. That's late for me. And I was still like, where is she now? Where is she now? Come on, checking that average pair. What are you doing? Oh, I felt like my kids were out there, honestly. It's a week. It's gone, We love your reviews and it really does help the podcast grow and pop up on other trail runners feeds. Pop over to iTunes, Spotify, and if you want to, we know there's no hassle. We don't hassle you here. We know you're all busy, but leave a 5-star review if you've got a spare moment. T and Trails Ultra update. You've made us proud. Sounds. You guys made us proud. I mean, you Patreons, you guys are whack. So lots of questions about this. So here we go. We're going to fill you in on some deets of the race. It's happening the last weekend of June. We're just finalising the final route. Over the Northern Fells, there will be two options, 25k, 50k. Your package will involve camping. Camping is an option and it is covered in your race entry on the Friday night. And on the Friday night, we are going to record, I wonder what episode number it will be. It's going to be about 150, isn't it? Good if it was episode 150. We are going to live record the podcast. We're going to have some special guests. We're going to have, I could take some requests, some live singing, a special guest interview.
We could wake people up in the morning.
I could go around the tents. And then Saturday, you have the option to run 25k or 50k over the sensational Northern Fells. We spent a lot of time planning a route which is challenging but user-friendly. And so we'll do that on Saturday. We'll be out on the course. We're not going to do the race ourselves. So we will be everywhere we can be to high five, send you love. Gary's going to need some sort of sort of like, I think, some strict guidelines on touching
Invade your
protocol.
space.
But entries are going to go. The reason we're wittering on about this, lots of people asked it. The reason of the position of the weekend was lots of factors, but hopefully it's a really useful weekend to have the option of doing a long run with friends. It is going to be a race if you want it to be a race. If you don't, it's going to be a rolling start. So if you want a race, we'll have a racing time to start. But if you just want to choose it as a long run, if you want to do it with your mates, we totally encourage that as well. And we position that weekend so that if you perhaps are doing one of the Lakeland races or a July race, if you're doing a Centurion race, like the big South Downs Way 100, you hopefully might be recovered enough to come and do that. If you're doing one of the UTS races, we try to get it like in the best weekend that we could. There's always going to be clashes,
September.
Lots of things, and 2 different distances as well. The reason we're twittering on about this now is because lots of you pre-registered your interest with an email. If as many of you pre-registered as your interest is email, then it's going to sell out very quickly. It's going to go live next week. If you did pre-register, you are going to get an email. If you are a Patreon, trumpet sound, you are going to be allowed to enter first, because we're always thinking of ways that we can thank our patrons. And then we thought this is the biggest way, is that hopefully if you do want to do the race, you're going to get first come, first served basis. So if you are a patron, you will get a link at the start of next week. So it depends when you're listening to this, but Monday, the 27th of January, you are going to get a link around that date. Let's not maybe promise the dates to enter. And then if you registered interest, you're not a patron, then entries will go live and you'll get an email to enter on Thursday, the 30th of January. So those are our rough dates that we're working to. If you're listening, you don't want to pop that in the family calendar. Bring your tent. You can bring your vans, but we said not caravans because it's not a hard standing, it's a farmer's field.
I know from like Lakeland 100, this is always a hot topic of debate, but I think the infrastructure isn't there for big kind of motorhomes. I think you kind of VW.
Which is a pity, because my big, what is it, the Hummer? My big Hummer sitting in the drive. I won't be able to bring that. I'm just going to bring my bivy bag, sleep in the marquee next to you, Gary. Hi, Gary. What are you doing? No, Any other questions people might have? We're just what you're listening to. We're just finalising the route, so more details will go out on that. But it does involve Skiddaw and Blencathra, 2 of our favourite climbs and descents. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. If you get an email, if you want a race, go on to the www.tandtrailsultra.com webpage if you haven't registered your interest yet. If not, of course, we'll put it on Facebook when the entries open. But we just wanted to give you the pre-warning that there are limited spaces, and so we don't want anybody to miss out and be sad.
Welcome, quartermasters. I heard this on another podcast. You guys rock.
Okay. What are quartermasters?
Well, it's the people who stay. A lot of people, not so much podcasts. I look at the stats. People who listen to the podcast, they're pretty faithful and they listen to it right to the bitter end.
They heard the singing then last week. Oh my God.
They all heard the singing. YouTube, not so much. So yeah, if you're on YouTube and you're watching this section, you are. Do
you think they've had enough of our fate? They're like, can't look at those faces anymore. They are. Because it's funny because, yeah, your chiseled good looks and my sweaty demeanor. Blue steel.
But yeah, you're the quartermasters. You guys rock. You are with us to the bitter end. I'm not taking credit for that. I get all my content from the Adam Buxton podcast. I'm pretty sure I heard it over there. Thanks, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. Maple caffeine
Yeah,
gel.
I was looking at this. Now, how do you feel about, this is Bryn's ultimate dream, maple syrup and caffeine, mix it together.
But yeah, I'd been off coffee for 2025, so I was a bit anxious after I slurped a few of these caffeine gels down. I'm finally coming around to the fact that I'm very sensitive to it, as proved by the flat white I had the other day. 100.
What happens to you when you take caffeine? Don't tell me about the toilet habits, but do you go a bit nuts? Should we do a podcast episode? Can we take a caffeine gel at the start and see what happens? Let's do that next week.
Well, no, because I'll be straight to the toilet. I'll be straight to the toilet. But yeah, my trauma doesn't have to be our content. The maple coffee gels from Protein Rebel are about 45 milligrams, so I can tolerate that. Christ, it's an experiment on one person. It's not like some data-driven science. So far for me, I get that little kind of boost actually when I'm running with it, when I'm actually doing exercises, but it doesn't send me dashing for the toilets. Also, Protein Rebel will be at the National Running Show, so swing by if you are off to Birmingham. If you'd like to try Protein Rebel, then use the code T15. That is the word T. and then 15, number 15, for 15% off your first order. Yeah, we've got our Shocks headphone competition winners to announce. Over 1,000 people voted. Initially, I thought, my goodness, that is sensational, but the admin are trying to put 1,000 people, grab 1,000 people's information from Facebook and then put it into one of these random
Gary!
sad times. Really got to think long and hard about what we do for these competitions because they're wonderful, but then how we manage it afterwards.
That's like a day's work for you.
It was a long time. Anyway, first out of the hat and the winner of one of the sensational Open Run Pro 2 headphones is David Bulmer. Thanks for voting, David. Then next out is Jonathan Hewitt and Claire Cooper. Jonathan and Claire will win some Shocks goodies. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, really appreciate everyone who voted and for Shocks for supplying the prizes.
What's coming up? Woo-hoo! Busy, busy, busy. So are we talking, when we're talking what's coming up now, are we talking next week or this week that we've already done it?
We've actually done it.
Hang on a sec, what's coming up this week? What have I done? Then I can achieve. I love this. Because we're a bit late recording the podcast, what's coming up? Well, we normally talk about the weekend. I've actually done it. So I'm going to say what I've actually done. And then next week I can go, I achieved. I am ticking those boxes. Well, my aim this week was I still had like that frantic busy, as we all do when we get back to work. This is the back wave of that, the first wave of it, and then the back wave of this. I'm just coming out the other side of that. I feel like I'm back in control of my life, of my plan. I kind of know kids are on new schedules, everything's new schedules. I'm just going to building any little foundations back. I've got 2 sessions in my plan, but I might only do 1 because I noticed last week it's just taking me 2 days to recover from a session. The next day I'm tired, and then the next day I feel better and good, but I'm not sure I'd want to do a session. Like putting strides in feels about the limit. So I've got 2 sessions in, definitely will do 1. Spoiler, I did it. Maybe not 2. Spoiler, I'm not going to do 2. I wanted to do another long run. I wanted to be a saint to my long runs and make sure I got 18 to 20 miles in, but I just don't know how where I can find 3 hours over the weekend. I can find 3 hours, but it would be late at night. Am I that person, Gary? Oh, I don't know if I can be that person with the head torch, or I could do it on the treadmill. Am I that person? I'm not sure. Eddie, show some commitment. And just a little bit of sofa time. That battery charge, that de-stress like thing you get at the end of the day, it's like, you should find some more time for a little bit of relax. When would you like me to? You messaging me that makes me more stressed. When we like to find my time. What about you? Showing up? What you doing?
Well, luckily, it's kind of weird talking about the week I've done as if it's not happened. But for me, on the plan, it was a bit of a down week. There's no sessions at all this week. There is a long run, obviously. Thankfully, it is a pretty easy week as far as the mental load's concerned, because I've got so much on my plate at the moment that I'll just do what I can do. I'll eat whatever ends up in front of me. If I do any workouts, if I do any runs, that is a gold star. I'm going to give myself as much grace as possible this week. I think I will, though. You mentioned strides. So even though, there's lots going on, I'm pretty sure I could throw 6 strides at the end of a run. So if I could do a couple of those a week, a lot more mobility. I can't go to the gym. All those things are just out of reach at the moment. So some mobility, strides, long run, happy with that.
I've been training the dogs to do strides with me because that is almost my limiter. So I've been training them. I have them on like a double harness so that they're like one lead going out from my waist, but then it goes into 2 slots, and Lindy takes the lead and poor Tarky is like, she uses the benefit of being pulled along a bit. And so when we do strides, I take Tarky off the lead, because if Lindy's off the lead, Tarky's it's them together off the lead. If they see anything that moves, they're a team and they're gone. But if Lindy's on the lead, Tarky wouldn't. She's like, I can't be bothered. So I take her off there. I've got a bit of track now where we go, and but I need Lindy to like run fast to like. Yeah. So I go, right, Lindy, let's go. And I give her like a little on the lead like you would with a horse and a carriage. And I'm like, let's go. And I give myself like 40 seconds, whereas normally I don't need like 20 to 30 seconds of a stride. But I'm like, let's go for like 10 seconds. And then she's like, yeah, let's go. But then we go full gas, a little bit faster than I could actually. We touch on like a 5-minute mile pace, but then I have to slow her down because then I'm like, oh, we didn't do how to slow down. So then I'm like, so we're working on let's go, and then whoa, but also I'm quite out of breath. So it's like, but it's the only way I fit in bringing them back and then going back out to go and do my strides. It's
just
just
don't
not,
do it.
it's just not going to happen. So I mean, trying to, and then of course the strides aren't ideal because I've got the dogs and they're not like as fluid, as fast. But then I'm like, Eddie, this is all just about getting it done. No excuses. Getting it done.
Well, I'll take a positive, even though I missed Rex Daly this week. He's not been with us. So things like strides, a lot easier. And what I do sometimes, if I'm out with a run for Lisa, we do one of our love runs. Lisa's not really interested in doing strides. She'll take Rex for that last, say, a mile, and I'll do the strides in front. But Rex, he's such a pack animal. He wants to be in front.
That gives him pure anxiety. It's just like running with you. If you're not at the front, you get anxiety in the pack.
So it's not fun times for Lisa when they're following me do my strides at the end of run. But I thought I would. I took a look. We've not done this for a while, actually. I took a look at SI entries to see what is going on. And it's another busy weekend on the trail. So, yeah, best of luck for everyone taking part. If you're doing the Punk Panther Green Gateways, I think there's a few distances there. So if you're listening, if you're going to do that, good luck. There's a Lakeland 100 recce. I feel I should do that for the social aspect. I know the route well enough, but I've never actually done one of their organised recce's. I think that would be great.
Imagine if you turned up in your red shorts, full Lakeland kit, poles.
Full kit. And I saw the Kong Winter Series is still up and running, and they've got their Clough Head race. And I wonder if that literally just is one of these classic fell races where you just up Clough Head, turn around, come back down.
Oh, my knees.
Yeah. Box Hill Fell race, good luck if you're doing that. Woollet Ingham race, that sounds sensational. I don't think it's too like a really long race either, but lovely trails around there. And then the Let's Run Hard Moors 55 recce, and so much other stuff going on too. Whatever tickles your fancy. Have
Whatever
a sensational
tickles
time.
him. It doesn't have to be running.
Whatever tickles your boat. Take some pictures, share them on our Facebook group. We love seeing what you've been up to.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're recovering from any of the spine races, maybe you don't listen to this if you're not running, but if you are recovering, I share your love, because that few days after those mega races, it's not fun times, not good times. I've had a few very funny messages from the girls. I won't share them because otherwise they won't send me messages, because they'll be like, you shared our trauma. I'll wait for them maybe to go on the podcast if they're kind enough to come on and share their trauma. But there's been some lying on floors and sadness, because it's not all roses and sunshine. Well, it's not. It's horrendous. We all know recovery from these long races is a long, drawn out process. So if you're in that headspace, your body's in that space, breathe and believe. Trust.
That's why I think double kudos for people like you who've toured the line for multiple long races. Lucy
when you
Gossage,
know what's coming,
Hannah Rickman,
you know
exactly what's coming.
And it's not actually the race itself; it's the bit afterwards, which, like the first bit afterwards is bliss. When you finish and you can sit down, you have cups of tea, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're me!" Like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy that's over." And then it's the bit where you like move to the car or whatever, you get back, and then you're still in your kit, and you're like, everyone's gone to bed, and you're like, whoa, what? How do I can't even get my sock. And then you take, anyway, we could go on. Anyway, we love you. Thanks for listening. Share the love. Pop over to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and subscribe, or even consider being more awesome than you could be and joining Patreon. But you don't need to. We love you just for listening. Thanks to X Miles Precision Fuel Hydration, Phoenix Lights UK, and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. All sorts of new discount codes for you to use: T10 for Shocks, T15 for Protein Rebel, and T24 Precision Fuel Hydration. Thanks to all our partners and Patreons. We would not and could not do this without you and your ongoing support.
If you won the lottery and we didn't need the financial support, would you?
Well, we did for years. I was listening, like you, I was listening to some people whose podcast is, I know it's hard to believe, but it is bigger than ours. And they said for years, we did do this we did it for love. And we did not come into this for to be part of the job. And we're just so lucky that we did graft away and work away. And it's now become something that we can sit and carve out the time. And we do carve out the time because we are able to give that time back. Yeah. And I hope we do a good enough job that people feel it's worth.
Let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to future self. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 104 of the Tea and Trails podcast. Don't forget, check your inbox, check your junk folder. There might be a nice email from Arena Events all about the Tea and Trails Ultra. Would you take a bath in tea? I saw that lovely picture from
Oh,
Andy.
yeah. Not a problem.
Straight in there. Would you drink it when you're in there?
Absolutely. Straw. As long as it was warm. I don't like cold tea. Though this is pretty cold now. I'm still going with it.